The maintenance dock stank of scorched coolant, and Torval Rhees had exactly 6 minutes before the human welder came back with the harness that would decide whether his ship ever flew again. He pressed himself flat against the strut, watching the little woman move under the belly of his cruiser like she owned it. Her name was Dell Marren. She ran the orbital refit yard clamped to the side of what the humans called Gateway Station, and she was the reason his warband had come to this filthy little system at all. Rhees needed hull plating. He needed a drive coupling his own foundries could not cast, and he needed both before the rest of the Kesh fleet arrived to take this world for the Concordance. Because a captain who arrived with a broken ship arrived as a servant, not a conqueror. So he had lied. He had told Dell Marren his people were traitors. She had looked at his warship, at the rail scoring along its flank, at the sealed weapon ports, and she had smiled and said, "Sure, traitors," and quoted him a price in something called coffee. He had thought it was a joke. "Try it again," Dell called up now, not to him, to her crew. A pump kicked on somewhere in the scaffolding. "You're pulling 12 degrees off. She wants it flush or the whole coupling walks." Rhees understood every word. The translator burr behind his ear had been sitting in a human port for 3 days, drinking their language, and it had learned them faster than he liked. He listened to Dell Marren argue with her welder about tolerances his own engineers would have killed to match, and he felt the first cold thread of doubt. These were not primitives. Primitives did not build a refit yard that could recast a Kesh drive coupling in an afternoon. Still, the plan held. Buy the repairs. Learn the station. When the fleet came, hand them a map of every weak seam in Gateway's hull. Rhees had already marked 4. Dell wiped her hands and looked straight up at his hiding place, which no Kesh crewman had ever managed to find on their own ship. "You can come down," she said. "You've been breathing through that strut for 10 minutes, and it's making my welder nervous." Rhees came down. He was 3 heads taller than her, and armored in plates that had stopped kinetic fire, and she handed him a cup. "On the house," she said. "You look like you're carrying something heavy." It was coffee. Black, bitter, steaming. He had watched the humans drink it constantly. In the docks, on the gantries, cradling the cups like the liquid mattered more than sleep. He had assumed it was ceremonial, a social lubricant. Harmless, he drank it to be polite, to keep the lie warm. The doubt in his chest turned into something else within the hour. By the time Rhees returned to his ship, his hearts were beating in a rhythm they had never used. His hands wanted work. His mind, which had spent 3 careful days measuring seams and counting station guns, was suddenly running 4 plans at once. Seeing angles, seeing openings. He stood in his own command chamber and could not sit down. His first officer, Senate, watched him pace. "Captain, you've walked the length of the deck 40 times. "I feel," Rhees said, and stopped, because he did not have the word. Awake. He should have flagged it then. He did not. He drank another cup the next morning. From a ration pouch Dell had pressed on him with a wink, and by midday his entire bridge crew was clustered around the pouch like it was a reactor core. The trouble was that the Kesh had never evolved a stimulant. Their biology ran slow and cold and certain. Caffeine did not simply wake them the way it woke a human. It flooded a nervous system that had no throttle for it, no tolerance, no built-in brake. It made them faster, sharper, and it made them need more. Rhees only understood the shape of the disaster on the 4th day, when Senate tried to take the last pouch from a junior gunner, and the gunner broke his arm. Not in anger, in want. By then 1/3 of his crew had traded away plating, coolant, sidearms, anything, for more of the human ration pouches. They had done it quietly, ship to station, while Rhees was drinking his own supply and congratulating himself on his patience. Dell Marren's little yard had somehow acquired a Kesh drive coupling, 2 spare rail barrels, and the targeting core out of his own forward battery, and Rhees had signed none of it. He stormed down to the dock with murder in his slowed, screaming blood. Dell was waiting, sitting on a crate, another cup in her hand. "You knew," Rhees said. "I ran the labs the second you drank the first one." She didn't stand. "Your heart rate. Your pupils. You lit up like a kid at a fair. Nobody reacts to a plain cup of joe like that unless their bodies never met it. She tilted her head. That's when I knew you weren't traitors. Traitors would have had it before. You'd never even seen it. Which meant you came from somewhere that doesn't. Which meant you came a long way, in a warship, with your gun ports welded shut so I wouldn't ask. Rhees said nothing. His hands were shaking, and they both knew why. Here's where we are, Dell said. Your crew's hooked. Not on my say-so, on their own biology. I didn't force a single cup on anybody, but now you've got a warband that will mutiny for a ration pouch, and a fleet on the way that thinks you're going to hand them my station. She set the cup down. Yeah, we cracked your translator burr too. 2 days ago. The setback landed on Rhees like a dropped hull. His map. His 4 marked seams. All of it was already in her hands. So mutiny it is, Dell said gently. Unless you want to make a different trade. He could have killed her. She was small and unarmored and close. But his own crew was 3 decks up, coming apart at the seams, and the fleet that was coming would not free them. It would simply inherit them, hollow and craving, and burn this world for the crime of having the one thing his people now could not live without. Rhees made the choice standing there with his hands shaking. He gave up the fleet, their approach vector, he said, their recognition codes, their commander's name and the fear he keeps under it. His voice was low. I will give you the way to break them. In exchange, you will teach my ship's physician how the humans throttle this, how you drink it every day and stay whole. Because if my people go home unchanged, they go home as slaves to it, and someone will always own the supply. Dell studied him for a long moment. That, she said, I can do. The Kesh fleet arrived 2 days later expecting a conquered dock and a captain waiting with a map. They found Gateway Station dark and silent, its lights killed, its transponders throwing the exact recognition codes Rhees had surrendered. The flagship, the Ninth Hunger, slid in close on those friendly signals, close enough that Dell's people, who had spent 2 days doing what human dockworkers do best, which is turn a repair yard into whatever they need it to be, triggered the mining charges seated in every seam Rhees had marked on his own hull and then handed over. The seams Rhees knew, because they were Kesh seams, the same on every ship in the fleet. The Ninth Hunger came apart along its spine. So did the 2 cruisers flanking it, holes splitting exactly where a Kesh engineer would have welded them, because a human welder had asked the right trader the right question. The rest of the fleet scattered into a station that was not a station anymore, but a shaped killing ground. Rail barrels and targeting cores they themselves had bought with coffee now aimed back down their throats. They did not surrender because they were beaten. They surrendered because their own bridge crews, 3 days into the ration pouches the forward ships had traded up the line, were tearing each other apart over the last of it. Rhees watched from Dell's dock as the Concordance fleet broke, not from human guns, but from human patience and one bitter human drink. And he felt the thing the humans had been feeling all along when they cradled those cups. Not craving, command over it. His physician spent the next month in Dell's labs, learning the throttle, the timing, the discipline of a species that had lived beside the drug so long they had made it a comfort instead of a chain. When Rhees finally took his repaired ship home, his gun ports were open, his coupling was human cast, and there was a pouch in his hand he did not need to open. Dell Marren stood in her scorched little dock and watched the Kesh cruiser lift, and drank the last of her coffee while it was still hot.